iemand lives to execute it.
Waarom niet zo'n spannend vraag?
Oké. Hij zegt niet iets onder de lijn. Yes. Hello and welcome at Novelty. Today we will do our program live from Incubate. This is the incubator from the University of Twente, Student Union, and also Novelty itself. My name is Tamara Hartman, and today I will guide you through the program. I'm a content marketer at Novelty, and together with my colleague Mike Verkuiter and student entrepreneur Mario Kemken, I will give you a taste of entrepreneurship. First things first, this program is blocked until 5 p.m., but we will probably have a program until 4, or maybe a little bit shorter, so you can have a drink before you have your evening program. As I said, we are at Incubate, and here startups can work on their business ideas. You can do this via Novelty, and if you are interested in starting up your startup here, then you will probably find us on the campus. I want to show you guys around later, but today we will first go to my colleague Mike. But 1 second before we go to Mike, I have something I want to show you guys. 1 second. We have a new LinkedIn page, and this page is called Startup and Spin-off News. It's by Novelty, and since you are here now, all in this live stream, I think you are interested in Novelty. So if you follow this page today, you can win a nice package, which is a really fun game to play with your new roommates, some shower gel, and also some nice promo articles from Novelty. So please go to our LinkedIn page, the Startup and Spin-off News, Novelty Startup and Spin-off News, and then we will call a winner at the end of this program today. So please like the page. Now we will go to my colleague Mike Verkuiter. Mike is the manager of Incubate, but he's also the manager of the Startup Acceleration Program of Novelty. So please, Mike, the floor is all yours.
Yes, good afternoon, new students here at the University of Twente. Unfortunately, we cannot welcome you in this place due to the circumstances that you probably would know by now. But there is no better way to give you a taste of entrepreneurship by what you're actually already experiencing in the past days. If you see what the Kick-In Commission did together with all the volunteers and all the crew that is walking around here on campus, switching quickly in a new situation to make sure that you can still experience this new university for you, or the new city events today if it's new for you, is a great thing and a great showing of entrepreneurship. So I would say whenever you walk around or see somebody digitally or sort of live with the distance, make sure you do your thumbs up to the crew of this Kick-In and also to the commission to show your appreciation that they still made something like this possible for you. And that is actually already a great example of entrepreneurship at this university. This university is not maybe by you yet, but in the world quite famous because of this entrepreneurial mindset. It's already in the early 80s that often universities were more focused on research and science, that one of the provosts of these universities, the Rector Magnificus here, Rector Magnificus van der Kronenberg, said, hey, there is more than these two things. It's also good that people get a taste of entrepreneurship and bring these kind of things into a business, into something that you can use. So if you come up with a solution for something, yeah, it is good that it's not only here in books, in papers or other things, but that also other people can make use of it by buying it or using it in hospitals or which place, whatever the place is. And actually at that time, at this university, we had one of the first incubators in Europe, the BTC building, where the first student entrepreneurs got in and built up their businesses. And now, almost 40 years after that, this university created already more than 1,000 startups and spin-offs Among them, well-known startups as Thuisbezorgd, Takeaway.com, and Booking.com, but also sort of new kids on the block that you maybe recently saw dropping by, like Code Sandbox, Loco Moco, Moved. And these were all students, or are still students, that just stepped into the ways of becoming an entrepreneur. So if you love entrepreneurship and you think you're entrepreneurial, this is the best playground for your master studies to still enjoy and maybe even start up your own business. And we do that in different ways at this university. A lot, again, you saw already during the kick-in maybe, yeah, you see all these entrepreneurial communities, the sport associations, the study associations, all the other things that are actually already showing entrepreneurial skills. But it can also be that you think like, yeah, for me it's more than skills because I already have a sort of business, or at least I think about starting a business and I already have an idea. Now, at this university, we first of all have this incubator. So feel free when the study starts to reach out to us and to see how we can help you with doing that. And later on, we will listen indeed to one of the startups that make uses of this system. And also later on, I will tell you a few insights, a few tips on how to set up your business. But the most important thing, what you then need to remember if you like to be more entrepreneurial or set up a business because you already have an idea or you already have a business, we have sort of two lines here at this university, and it's all called START to make it easy for you. And the first line is the START Bootcamp. So if you just want to know more about business, if you just want to learn the basics, insights of what we as a university or we as a Novelty learned over the past 40 years, go to our website, novelty.com/start, and apply for the bootcamp. And digitally, or maybe in the near future, a bit more also physically, we will show you all the elements of setting up your business. If you already have an idea, the second step can be, or the other step can be the START program. And that's a validation program where we just help you to get insights if the idea that you're working on makes sense. Because you don't want to waste your time on stupid ideas, but also you want to make use of the resources that are here in a good and an effortless way. So if you have an idea, you can apply there in 4 digital evenings with coaching and top experts and master classes. We're just going to validate, first of all, your idea. Does it make sense? Is there a market? Is there a business model behind it? Is it usable? Can you pay for it? Can you set up a business out of it? But also, what about yourself? Are you the person that is able to doing that? Or do you need a bigger team? Or what kind of elements do you need to involve? And if you do that, and you fulfilled that program, you can maybe even get access to this incubator, Incubase, and set up your business with the expertise of our coaches, of our investment experts, joining us to international missions. So again, if you want to set a business, if you want to follow up on all these successful other startups that joined you or did that before, you choose the right spot to start up your business by studying here at the University of Twente, and to not let it only be told by me as the manager that does that for the business and also has to do that. It's maybe good to learn more from one of the guys that followed our program and is now also working in this incubator. For that, I give it back to Tamara.
Yes, thank you, Mike. I'll just check if the camera is ready for me again. Let me see. Yes, great. So thank you for the introduction, Mike. And today we have a very special guest. His name is Mario Kempen, and he is a student entrepreneur. He has a very special story because he came all the way from South Africa to Amsterdam to follow the START program and continue with his business idea. So I will invite him today on the couch and we will have some nice conversations, I think. And of course, if you guys have questions, you can ask them via the chat of the kick-in. So please ask them via the app and do not do this via YouTube because we will really check the chat box in the kick-in app. So, Mario, welcome. He's joining me right now. Please have a seat.
Perfect, thank you.
Let me see if the camera is ready for us. Yes. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Mario is here with us today. He is, a very motivated entrepreneurial student, I can say. I met him before, and he is really dedicated. He did the start program here at Novelty, but he has like a very special story, as I said before, because he came all the way from South Africa to Enschede. So Mario, why did you come all the way from South Africa to Enschede?
When you first probed me with that question, I started thinking about it a lot because it's not really, Enschede or specifically like a region or so like that. I think it's more of you want an environment where you can play and where you can kind of explore, and that's why I started really looking at incubators specifically as a whole, to really start understanding, right, what does that do for me, and how does that help me, like, really get my idea from like being this thing in my head into coming out and then being something that I can like see and then be functional. And I mean, that's really, I think, the core as to why I was like, right, this is what I want to try, because I think it's just somewhere which allows you that freedom, but it's in a confined space where you can still say, right, these are my crazy ideas, but then there's someone who's like, this is what's actually possible. So let's think like back to like, what's a cup,
Yeah. So at the same time, you needed some room to play, to figure out what you wanted to do with your idea, but also some guidance.
I think it's a combination of the two. It's really like, because when you start, you like really have this drive where you're like, I want to go and change the world, right?
Yeah.
Like when I arrived at the start program, I was like, I'm going to change the world's service quality. And then as you start getting into it, you start realizing, wait, that's a little bit too big. Let me like become a little bit more concentrated. And then like inevitably you come from this like big spectrum and you like narrow down until you find like that nice path to go to. So I think that's what's just really useful.
Yeah.
Especially with an environment like this, is where you come in and it's just allows you to kind of naturally shift towards finding something that becomes valuable.
Yeah. And of course you came here with an idea that you have, and the people who are watching right now probably don't know what this idea is. Can you tell us more about that?
So I was on a trip to London in January, and I had this idea where, like, I was inspired by Butlers at a hotel, where it's that whole white glove Butler. So the whole white glove like Butler experience, and I was like, right, how do you take this human element and start bringing that into like traditional service models? So I was back in South Africa then in the whole of February and March, and really started thinking about this, and then I Googled a little bit around, and I got in touch with Incubase then, just through the internet, and we had a call, and at the time there was someone called Lars, and he was like, right, this was like a Friday afternoon at like 9 o'clock, he calls me on FaceTime, he's like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, I kind of want to build this thing that like, I want to increase service quality in somehow, and I think it can work like this. And he's like, well, the program starts on Wednesday, so can you make it here? And I'm in South Africa at the time, and I'm just like, all right. So, I went outside and I was like, I need to book a flight. I'm going to go there. And then it was literally, I think like 3 days later, the Sunday I flew, and I think it was the Monday evening I flew. So the weekend I just packed my stuff. The Monday I flew, and Tuesday I arrived here, and like Wednesday I walked through the doors, and I was like, right, let's start.
Wow. So in a few hours, you decided that you just book a flight and come to the Netherlands for starting this new adventure.
Yeah, because I think especially from, if you want to, a lot of the technology around everywhere needs a lot of maturity. So the environment where you're going to build it needs to be pretty mature. In terms of building a mature technology means that you need the infrastructure and support around it that can support that type of a growth, whatever you wanted to do. And naturally, I was really seeking a mature environment to cultivate and build this product. Which was something. So I really just thought, like, let me go and find an incubator, and it just felt very natural to come, into contact. And it was like really just friendly in the beginning. It was like going to see friends, and we're going to start this thing together. And that's the way I kind of came in. And started.
But we have to mention that the start program was in March.
Yeah.
So of course we had some big things starting in March also around Europe and States and everywhere in the world. Of course, Corona. So you just came before the borders closed.
So that was exactly how it was, like really interesting, because I came on the Wednesday and on like the Friday they were like, sorry, but there's no more flight home. So I was like, all right, this is perfect. So I mean, I just come over to a completely new country. I had like no network, like no one to really call and ask for help. And then it was like, you need to start this thing because for however many months, like there's no way you're going back. So like you better make this thing work. So throughout the whole Corona time, I was just really sitting there because it was really weird dynamic, because you get stuck in a new country and a new place, and then where you think you don't even know who to ask for help. So you're like, right, let me just go into LinkedIn and like see who's available and see who's around here.
Yeah, so because you didn't know anyone except for the small contact you had with Lars. He wasn't a friend, he just was a colleague from Novelty who helped you, and so there he was.
So I mean, that's what exactly that start program is, like an initial 6-week period where I think it was like every 2 weeks or so we had a check-in. And it just kind of allowed you to check in and say, right, who's still here, who's not, this is kind of where I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing, and helps you like start over. So in that process, in those first 3 weeks, like 6 weeks, my whole program consisted of just like trying to establish a network and trying to just speak to people and just see like, what do they think? Like, am I on the right track? Am I not?
Yeah. So you started out with your idea for Butler.
Yeah.
You also thought something about it, but maybe you can be a little more concrete or in a few sentences what the platform is all about.
So I mean, if you're in your browser right now, just go to btlr.vip and have a look at it, because what we're trying to do is really to bring the human element of experiences back into our like hospitality and lifestyle infrastructure and engagements. In that respect, when you go to a hotel or when you go to a restaurant or anywhere, it's kind of a standard procedure that we go through every time. And how do you bring that element of when you go to your local coffee shop and you have that human environment, and where it's that physical human connection back in with, because the world's going completely like technological, where everything's being automated, and soon we'll have robot cafes being the norm, and once everything's standardized like that, how do you make it human again?
Okay, and I understand from Butler that you want to make it human by making it more personalized, right? Yeah,
so what it essentially is, Butler allows you to input your preferences in terms of what your personal preferences are, in terms of if you like your coffee pumped 3 times instead of 2 with extra foam, whatever the special request may be, or how you like things done, you store that in your Butler account. And then from there, wherever you engage with any service provider or whatever it is, they can service you in the applicable manner.
So for example, when I like my cappuccino with oat milk always, and I go to the Starbucks on the campus, but also to another Starbucks or a local cafe here in Enschede, they'll
understand that you're lactose intolerant, that you need oat milk. So that's exactly how they'll service you.
Wow, that sounds really cool. But of course, you need to take some time to develop all this.
So I mean, that's the whole, that's where like the challenge starts lying, because the vision is like here, and what you can start with in reality is like right down here. And the struggle that I always have is, how do you take what you're thinking about really like up here, what's like really, really important, and how do you make it so it's like on a daily basis, you can actually make progress on this idea and you can actually do something.
So what are the steps that you took from when you started in March until now? What are like the big steps?
I think like the first big step is to just like figure out what you want to do, and then from there start talking to people, because I think that's really what the START program helps you do. It helps you just validate, whereas are you on the right track or not? Does it make sense for you to do this or not? Because ultimately you then decide, am I going to put my effort into this or not? And it really helps to give you that confidence, either to say, yes, I believe in this more than I did, or it helps to say, not exactly. So I mean, my personal experience after the START program, I then had a little bit of a pivot, which I then spent 3 months on really testing out. I was like, I had this idea that really creating sensational experiences was better than actually having a personalization element involved. And for 3 months, I really tested this out, and I spoke to supercar dealerships, everyone, and came to the conclusion that the personalization element is actually really important, which draws me back to the beginning. So if you think about it in like a progress point of view, I'm back at start 0. But from a knowledge point of view, you are at level 1000 now, because you have the insight to understand what's valuable and what's not. And I think that that's what's really important, is that, you know, throughout the process, you kind of want to gain and try to gain more knowledge until you get to the point where you have a really robust understanding of everything.
Yeah. So actually, we spoke before, and you told me the future of luxury is personalized.
Yes.
So that's actually the main idea of your platform, the whole goal you want to go for.
Yeah, I think so, because I think you know, everything's becoming less personalized if we think about it. When we go somewhere, even if we book a hotel experience or we go shopping down the road, it's just you're becoming a number in the system, and it's becoming really unpersonalized. You're just another booking to you know, you're in an environment, and how do you start making that personal? And I think that's the luxury, because I think that once we push technology so far, that technology becomes standard, and we don't have waiters in restaurants anymore. We just have vending machines where we order our stuff, and we've seen that at McDonald's at the start now.
Yeah.
Soon there'll be no one at McDonald's. You'll just get your order off the counter, and once that becomes standard, then where's the personal element? And that will be luxury.
All right.
Yeah.
At the meantime, we of course also have a chat function. So I'm not sure, did we already receive some questions? No. You can still ask questions to Mario, of course, about his experience with the START program, about his company, what you like.
Yeah, really anything.
Anything. So yeah, let's continue, because of course you started with this Butler. What are your dreams for the future?
You know, this question I've been thinking about for like a long time. I always get asked this question, like, what do you want to do? What are your dreams? And I think that it comes down to the same point where I always think, like, you know, it's like inspirational to see everyone, the really successful entrepreneurs of the world and everything. But I think what it comes down for me in my terms is, I really want to like help move humanity forward in like an aspect that I can. So I think that like evolutionary, in order to take our evolution as humans further, we need to like build this thing with like technology which helps us evolve. And my contribution to that is just trying to understand the human element in order to bridge that connection a bit. So I think for me, what my aspirations will be really is to just bridge the gap between technology and humans, and somehow like bring that together at a degree, whatever I manage to do. But I think like that personally is what drives me. Is really like I wake up in the morning at like 4 a.m. and I'm like, I'm gonna figure out how to make this thing understand like human, because like especially code and everything works with, like, we've quantified everything to make it understandable. So say 1 + 1 is 2, but how do we know that, like, why does 1 + 1 equal 2? No one knows. Like, the logic is what everyone has output on, but the why is really what's missing, I think, in the technology space.
But I can also imagine that it's just, it's not really simple to create a platform like Butler. So your background in this is like,
I mean,
do you understand programming? Do you understand how this thing works?
I mean, my background is really, I was a DJ actually, and came from the whole, you know, really entertainment space. And then I studied mining engineering for a bit in South Africa. And I mean, the answer to your question, I think, is that you don't need to be technologically like super advanced to have like an understanding of an algorithm or something like that. Because at the end of the day, it's like, if you're adding value in a way that you can understand it, that's what then starts making sense. And technology is not the thing that you build. Technology is the thing what helps you make it real in a way that you do, whether it like be technology or not, because I think that like the question, like I always get asked, like, are you a coding genius, something like that, and the answer is like no. But I understand that the business that I'm trying to build needs some technical understanding, and I need to at least like know those rules and know what the boundaries are, and that I think is important for anyone wanting to start something, because it's not actually knowing the technology. The technology just helps you. If you want to build an app, the app is not what you're selling. You're selling what the app does. So what is the function? And that function can be serviced independently from the app. And that's what's important, because then the conversation is not how do you build technology? It's what are you going to offer to add value to someone or something or some point of your life that you then use technology to do. And then that is like, right, then you speak to someone who's like really clear about technology, and like that's where an environment like this really helps, because then you're like, this is what I want to do. And then you speak to the rest of the incubator, and, or like you share your thoughts out, and kind of the combined brains come together. And like, Mario, I think, you know, this would be like really reasonable for you to do and manageable, and that becomes your solution. The technology is not where you start.
No. So you have a very clear vision, clear idea. You try to figure out how you want to build things, but you are not like the expert on building everything. And of course, for everyone who's starting a business, it's always important to have like experts around you who can help you. You cannot do everything at the same time, right?
I mean, part of that, I think relates back to this question of, I know it's coming. It's like, you know, really, where does entrepreneurship and what is my outlook on entrepreneurship? And I think that ties nicely into this, because you don't necessarily need to be an expert in something. It's and my analogy is, I played a lot of sport when I was young, so my analogy is really similar to sport. Like, entrepreneurship is a sport where you learn the rules of the game in terms of any industry that you're in, whether that be, you know, healthcare, or in my case, in the tech space, you have to learn the rules of the game. And by that means, like, if you're like similarly to tennis, you have to learn how to hit the ball. And what an environment like this does, it gives you coaches so that you can better your skills. Because eventually, like, a startup company that's successful is like Premier League. And where you're starting out right now is like your local school league, and you're in your local school and university league right now, and you need to like practice entrepreneurship every day to get better, so that you can play the league that you want to be in. So it's unrealistic to say, right, I have this idea and it's just going to be the best in the world, because in reality, you're in school league, and you need to, like, unless you have like some sort of natural talent that you somehow like miraculously end there. I've had to like go through every league of like, we're in like baby league right now, like figure out how to add value to someone. And then what an environment does like this is it gives you coaches, and like you have sports coaches that just cultivate your skills and put you on training courses that you can better figure out how to better your entrepreneurship skills, that you then practice every day, that you then kind of build. So I don't think it's a case of needing to know something. You just need to know enough to be able to have a conversation.
I think that's very important and very also helpful for a lot of students who's starting out and who are maybe like, oh, I think I have an idea, but I'm not there yet. But you just have to start. You just have to practice a lot, learn from your mistakes.
And I mean, like I had a conversation with Mike last week around spending time on like your project and stuff like that. It's kind of like sport. If you don't practice basketball every day and like put hours into it, there's no ways you're going to play NBA. Like, it's just not going to happen. So the same thing is true for the company that you want to start. You want to get it to NBA league. You need to practice it and play that thing 8 hours a day until you get it to where it is, because realistically, like, that's the challenge that you have.
I think that's some very nice advice that you had. So this is also something, this is your take out for students who want to start out, or do you have some other advice? I think my biggest advice is that, you know, a lot of people start and they say like, right, I have this really amazing idea, but I want to like protect it so no one steals it, or like, I don't want to share with you and tell you. And I think that like my biggest advice is like, that barrier doesn't actually exist. You don't have that problem, because it's like if you're telling someone you're good at basketball and show them what skills you have, there's no way they can copy you
because like they don't have the skills to do that. So no one's just going to steal your business, and just go with it. So like my advice is really that like you need to understand that the market decides on if this is good enough and it not. And what you're doing by just talking to people and going out there is just you validating every time that yes, this is good or not. Because at the end of the day, it's not someone who says you have a great idea, this is going to work. It's once you go out into public and you're like, guys, do you want to buy? And then no one's like, no, I don't want to. And that's what I mean by the market decides. The market decides whether you're good enough or not. So it makes sense to keep asking the market the whole time whether you're actually on the right track or not. And I think that that's like the biggest advice is that like you just practice it every day, and eventually you'll meet people who agree with you, and you'll start building something that you then have, and that then becomes valuable. But the market decides, so don't be scared, and like don't feel shy about coming here. Like it's like an entrepreneur, it's like a space where there's a lot of entrepreneurs with big ideas. Like I might not be good enough. It's really like go come here and just share what you're doing, because at the end of the day you'll just like figure out how to do things better, or you'll figure out that like it's not worth it.
I think you really made your point here. One final question. What are the next steps for Butler? Are there maybe is there something that other students can help you out with, or what's your plan?
So I mean, Butler is now at the phase where I've kind of understood how it needs to work, and we've built the basic technology and kind of the methodology behind how we're going to add value to individuals. And now we're at the stage where we really want to start testing our solution and start seeing, right, can we add value to your life? So tomorrow, if you use Butler today, like how can it start becoming meaningful in your life? And the functionality that we've built is what we want to test. So on our site, there's the beta registration right at the bottom. Sign up for the beta and start understanding how your life experiences can be enriched through what we're doing. And it's kind of an iterative process. So our next step is really to take that beta test process. So, I mean, if you really want to start playing around with having like a hyper-personalized lifestyle and really start doing that, I think this is definitely something for you to just go register the beta. And like we're going to start experimenting and start.
So people can just go to your website,
Butler.vip,
That's VIP.
And just sign up for the beta. And then from there, we'll reach out to you and we'll take you through the onboarding process where you'll put everything. You'll start being able to personalize your lifestyle the way you want it.
Sounds very cool. Okay, Mario, I'm going to thank you for today. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Of course, if you want to know more about Mario, go to his website, butler.vip. Or if you want to know more about the START program, of course, go to our website, novelty.com/start. And yeah, maybe we will invite you next year here on this couch. Who knows?
It's really, really exciting. That's what I think we should leave it. It's just like, it's a process you start and it's never ending. So you might as well just start.
That's great. Okay, thanks, Mario. I'm going to say goodbye to you now.
Perfect.
So before we go to mine, I can understand that you are curious about this Incubate, what Incubate looks like, and yeah, why not just show you guys around? So come on. Yes, there we are again. So it's actually quite a big office space. So the entrance is here in Bastia, which is of course the building also at the University of Twente. We already talked about it. You just go upstairs and then here is the entrance. We have several co-working spaces. So if you are like a startup or enthusiastic about entrepreneurship, you can rent a place here. So you can work together with your colleagues, friends, or just alone in a cubicle. We have several cubicles, and you can just work there in silence, maybe invite some guests, whatever you like. Also, we have a great view. Let me show you. Of course, we're on the campus and you can really see that. Ta-da! So hopefully for next year, when the corona is a bit gone and it's more easy to meet up, we can have some great barbecues here or maybe even parties. And of course, if you join the START program, you will probably also come here to Incubase. And we have a special area for this, the pitching area. So our experts can pitch, you can pitch your ideas to our experts. This great arena. And you can see if you will survive the pitch. So normally also other students, other people will sit here on the benches, but for now it's not possible yet. But we're slowly opening again. And of course, we have the best coffee on the campus. So when you're ready, then if you want to have a cup of coffee with us, you can also join us for this. Now I will go back to Mike again because he has a really nice final workshop for you guys related to entrepreneurship. So let's see if he's ready. He's ready. So enjoy the workshop of Mike.
Yes, thank you, Tamara, and also thank you, Mario. Still standing here in front of me, I think some great insights on what we already said about setting up your business. And I like the analogy also of how you make sure that you understand it's like a league thing. It's not that you just wake up with a brilliant idea and then within a split second you are the new booking.com. And often when we use these examples of these companies like the Takeaway or Booking.com, you could also think of how would I ever reach these kind of businesses or these kind of opportunities to create these kind of businesses. But I have no idea the place that you are right now, or if you are in a student house or a dorm room or like one of the houses of the verenigingen. But the whole point is that these guys that set up these businesses were there before, and they were just at the couch in the evening over a cup of coffee or probably a beer, chatting about their ideas of, hey, would this be a great idea? And believe me, often the first idea that they had is not the idea that they're successful with. So there are so many elements, but the point is practice. Now, imagine you're now sitting there and think like, yeah, how do I come to a great idea? How do I set up certain things? What is necessary for that? Now, we have all kind of programs and stuff, what we already talked about, that you can, of course, follow during your stay here at the university, or later on, if you have an innovative business, you can still call us. And one thing is good to know from Novelty. We are part of the university. The Novelty is founded by the university and also by Saxion Hogescholen and by the local municipality Enschede in the province of Overijssel and region. But we are not per se university in a sense like education. So we are next to the university, and we have this building thanks to also the student union to make sure that you can be active next to your study to set up your business. So that means also that the people that are working for Novelty, or the experts that we make use of, or the boot camps or the stuff that we are doing, is not per se only to teach you, but to do it. So we're not teachers. For us, it's not about what the book says. It is what about real life says, what happens and how you can make things successful. Now, how do you do that in a bit? I will take you throughout a few elements that normally is also being taught by one of our great experts and coaches, Peter Langela. And if you're joining the next STAR program or the next boot camps, for sure you will see him and get all the expertise of what he gained over all the startups that he set up and stuff that he did. But it's also good to understand right away that it's not always important that you are the one team startup owner. So if you're now by yourself, you probably will not end up by yourself in a startup. And if you would do that, we probably will not really preferably help you furthermore, because if you just want to be a business on yourself, that's nice, but a startup needs a team, needs multiple ingredients, needs multiple people that can bring in all kind of elements to create a success out of it. And to make it a bit easy for yourself to already think who you are, think for yourself, who am I in maybe normal life, or how you act up with things. Are you the hipster? Are you like the cool guy that wants to make everything looks nice, so that it's like the Apple design? There is a lot also based on design. How does it look nice? How would people like to carry it or wear it, or these kind of things? Or are you more the hacker? It's not that you want to lock up yourself, but more is on the background. You really want to make something technology that works, that really has impact, that really is new, is innovative. Or are you more the hustler? Doesn't actually really matter what we will give to you. You will sell it anyway. You will sell whatever is necessary, and you talk everything straight. So you sort of fake it till you make it, till you set up your business. Now think for yourself, if you're now watching as in, who am I? Am I the hipster, the hacker, or hustler? Most people will say like, nah, I'm a bit of everything. I do a bit of coding myself, so I'm a bit of a hacker, but I can also talk easily, get everything sold, so I'm also a bit of a hustler. And yeah, maybe you wear sneakers and you already think you're a hipster right away. Now, that's not how it works. It is one of them. So make sure, and it's not only based on these theories, but make sure that you have the complete team when you start with something. So make sure you have the designer, the creative genius. Make sure you have the one that is the MacGyver of the program languages that just fixes everything for you. And make sure you're the hustler that knows how to show it, how to sell it, form partnerships, fixes investments, all the elements that are necessary to then right away set up your business. So who are you? Now, if you then know a bit who you are, it's good to look at some elements of how to set up a business. There are all kind of models, there are all kind of theories and books. And I always say it's sort of like a medical thing, choose what works best for you. So it's not about the holy grail of this is in 3 steps, the successful setup of a business, but it's much more on what works for you. How do you get your business done? Now, one of the guys that we like, at least a novelty, but we like many people that say great things, but it's, oh, there goes my screen. Technology and live streams. Give 1 second and it's back. And that's standing on the cable. One of them is Eric Ries. He's an entrepreneur and an author of the New York Times bestseller and wrote the book, The Lean Startup. Now, if you want to learn as a next to your study, I would recommend to buy that book if you're maybe the hipster, and if you're the hacker, you probably know how to download it for free. But a few elements that he says on why do startups fail. Now, it's first of all often that they create a product that they think that people want. If you have something, if you have talk to people and they say, I have a problem and you have a solution, it's probably the beginning of a great company. Now, you wouldn't know how many people we sometimes talk to that say, I have a great solution, I have a great invention. And if we then ask to find people that have the problem, it becomes more silent. So best way to start a business is to look into what problems people have, what kind of things they experience, or what kind of solutions that they want to see for certain things, because it's easier that way than to find it the other way around. They spend months perfecting the product. If it's good enough to bring it to the market or to at least start it, what Mario is doing with Butler is, hey, let's start with the beta version. It's good enough. You're good enough. Start with it, test it, and just talk to people how they respond, what they think about it. Don't try to make the 100% idea and then go to the market. Probably the idea is maybe already also in other people's mind, and if they're faster than you, it's already hard to compete them. So it's not about fulfilling a complete story, but it's starting with like a small story, talk to people, a bit even in the leagues, what Mario said, as in, hey, it starts with just maybe football with a small team, and if you grow and grow and learn more, also it involves then that the product grows with it. And last, and also, of course, like while customers don't care about the idea. Maybe you think it's a great idea, but customers don't always think. I say they also fail because it's a product that they think people want. It's not that they want it, but they say, no, everybody needs it, everybody uses it. But again, people don't care about the idea. Now you see all kind of solutions here that you think, nah, this is probably, I don't know if there are still student houses that have these kind of things on the toilet. It's fun, but I think if you're now in your master's, you had your bachelor time already, and you're almost nearing down on maybe doing a PhD or entering the market for a professional job. I don't know if your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever later on would like it if this is on the toilet still, if you already have your professional business. Startup success. The startup success can be engineered by following the process, which means it can be learned, and which means it can be taught. That's one of the quotes of Eric Ries, the one that wrote the book, The Lean Startup. It's a bit also what Mario said. So it's not about the fact that you need to be entrepreneurial already or that it needs to be in your DNA. It's something that you can develop, can be engineered. If you follow the process and you understand what it means, and it can be learned if it's also being taught. And one of these things that we see also at Novelty, and also Mario talked about that, is how you listen, for instance, to the role of coaches, of mentors. If you're a bit stubborn and you think, I know everything myself, I'm the best entrepreneur, you don't have to teach me, that's not per se a good sign. It's good that you understand that there's still enough that you can learn, but also the fact that this feedback can make your idea and your product better. So let's say the Lean Startup teaches you how to drive a startup. This is also what we already said, what the START program is doing. It's not per se that we can say right away after that validation program, you will be successful or you're not successful, but see it more also as at the end, you maybe gain a driving license that doesn't say you're the best driver in the world, good luck, but it says, hey, it's safe enough to send you on the road by creating your business or your entrepreneurial startup without making too many mistakes or not understanding certain basics, certain rules, how to do that. But entrepreneurship is also management. A startup is an institution, not just a product. Having a solution for something that maybe people at the other side of the world can use right now doesn't mean that all the people from the other side of the world right now know about it right away, fly into the Netherlands, come to your home, stand in front of your door and say, nice, I want 5. As in, there's a whole lot more necessary, building your team, building the financial model around it. It's nice that you can build something or that you can create something, but if you then create a solution now to make your student life a bit more nice and to still within the 1.5 meter distance have a drink with your friends, and then people ask, wow, how much will it cost? And you say it will cost 2 million. I can imagine that many students will say, yeah, not for me. So it's not only about having a solution or a product, but it's the whole thing, the whole institution around it. So that's also why you need the whole team. So again, it's also in this case, if you don't have the idea, if you don't have already a product or something that you want to create yourself, you can also think of, do I know people? Or maybe you join this entrepreneurial community here at the campus and find other team members that maybe already have an idea, but can use your hipster, hacker, or hustler skills to further produce not only the product, but also the institution, the whole environment around the startup. And know that you start with 100% uncertainty. There are all kinds of numbers that can state that maybe 1 out of 10 startups maybe will be successful. But if you like entrepreneurship, that shouldn't stop you from trying it. It's not about failing. It's also about failing fast, that often is being said, but even that, it's about attempting. So if your first attempt didn't work, you didn't try enough. So just understand that if you start with something, don't think it needs to be successful right away. And sometimes even in cultures, it can be a bad thing to fail. But believe me, in the startup world, it's a good thing. It's good to understand, learn from your failures, try it in different ways, or try it with other people, or try it around another product, and understand that it is necessary to really create your business at the end. Also understand that in the shower, your idea can sound fantastic. I don't know where ideas from you come on, as in if it's like if you're under the shower, if you're in the toilet, if you're doing a morning run, or if you have drinks with friends. But in these environments, everything sounds great. You think the top of the world, everything is possible, but understand that the real world is often difficult, is often a bit different. In the real world, yes is often a no. In these examples, if you are sitting at the bar and you ask the nice bright lady, do you think my idea is great, or what do you think about this and this and this, would you buy it? I bet that she probably will say yes, because maybe she wants a tip, maybe she wants you to have another drink, or maybe she wants you to keep you as a happy customer. But that yes doesn't need you to make like a run to your home and think, I buy all the products and I try to sell it, because then probably it's a no. So understand that yes is often a no. Yes means I give you 10 euros for your product and I will buy it right away, or hey, here's the 10 euros already and I will see it coming to my home. In these kind of circumstances, a yes often means a no. Also, don't ask your mom. There are a lot of books written about the mom test, for instance. As in, if you ask your mom, like, hey, is this a good idea? She probably will say, yeah, of course, I love you, and it's a great idea. I believe in you. Do whatever you want to do. And not whatever, but at least do these kind of things that maybe. Understand that at the end is not a yes. Ask real customers. Ask the people that preferably also want to buy the stuff that you need to buy. If you then have people around you, if you maybe preferably already have an idea, then start making an MVP, a minimum viable product. Try to build on something really small that looks at least already a bit like what you want to do. It's again what Mario said, the beta version of Butler. As in, hey, try with a small version just how people respond. What is it, what they think about the idea, or how it looks like, or do they understand what you mean with it, or how you can use it? So the basic of business is not starting right away with booking.com. The basic of business is start with a small website and go to hotels. Go to people as in, hey, where do you book your hotel? And if you have, for instance, this small website that can connect to you, would you use it? What do you think about it? And nowadays, even we can track in many ways how these kind of things work for people. So start with an MVP. Enough value so that people will pay for it, enough functionality to keep users interested, and a feedback loop for ongoing improvements that you constantly see as in, hey, what do I need to improve to really sell more, to make more, and to really scale and grow my company? And then fake it till you make it. Make sure that you sell more than it is. We often say to people that beg or ask for investments, as in, if I would listen from the other side of an investor, if you would say, hey, this is too good to be true, this is a beautiful thing, we will certainly believe you in a certain way, but we will probably already cut it through half. As in, yeah, it's probably a bit less. So it's good that you really promote what you're doing. It's good that you don't per se lie, but sell a story. Tell the whole story that you want to build, and if people are then interested, start building it. Start making your MVP, but don't be too shy in the promise that you probably can make. I know from many stories, one of them is Giels Brouwer, a founder of SciSports, a student of this university, that at a certain moment with their SciSport football data startup, were already on the market, and they won the Kairos prize. It's like a prize where like the top 50 startups in Europe could go to New York to open up the stock exchange. And everybody was impressed by what SciSports was doing. It was football, they loved the guys that were working behind it, it was football data, they could predict all kind of things. And at the end, they had a sort of algorithm that was almost working. And even when they were at this New York ICOS challenge, they could open up as the top 50 startups in Europe. They could open up the stock exchange. And at a certain moment, we were talking to them, and it was like, hey, but did you already sign up at the Chamber of Commerce? A sort of official moment that you're a startup. And they didn't even do yet. So they even made it to New York. They even opened the stock exchange, and officially they weren't even a sort of startup. So again, they're now an official startup. They're still growing. They're doing excellent. They work with FIFA, UEFA, all these football clubs to sell businesses. But it started sometimes with a bit of fake it till you make it. Don't sell what you can make what you can sell. And then almost coming to a closure, get out of the building and find out. Especially during these kind of moments. If you're already having a business and you meet other people around campus or during your studies, go out, ask people, talk to people, and don't think that you, within your building, with a bit of Googling, can create everything yourself. It's good to talk to people, it's good to invest, it's good to get feedback, it's good to really see if the idea that you're working on makes any sense. So it's constantly a sort of build, measure, learn. You have your minimal viable product where you just start working with. Then you go out, fake it till you make it, see what people will buy of it or what they want to change to it or what they really want to pay for it. And you learn from that, and then you go back again. You increase your minimal viable product with a bit more, you go out again, and it's a constant loop where slowly you build up in a startup. So go out, create your MVP, go out, analyze your mistakes, and continuously repeat that loop. Nice example. So it maybe starts with the prototype as in, hey, if I would have such a form, such a shape, such a thing, and it really tastes nice, would you buy it? Then you maybe end up with the donut, and at a certain moment people say, the donut is a bit too plain, and you end up with even a nicer gesture to it, and even maybe you create multiple donuts next to it because people like all kinds of tastes, but your basic there you have found. Some tips. Step out of your comfort zone. Maybe you think, I'm too shy or my ideas are not making sense. Again, believe me, there are all kinds of entrepreneurs that are now successful that not per se were the most strong people that were always talking or always on the front of the line. So the magic happens often when you feel uncomfortable. That's the same with getting feedback. If people say, hey, Mario, really great, but there are also all kinds of shitty elements to it that I really wouldn't understand. Don't make that as a sort of keeping you back from developing, but see it as in, hey, nice feedback. Maybe it's not nice because I really believed in this idea, I really put a lot of effort into it, or I really took the risk to even fly from South Africa to Enschede to develop these kind of things. But the magic happens outside the comfortable moments. It happens when you feel uncomfortable, but with that, develop slowly into something that works for the better. Make mistakes as soon as possible. Maybe not this mistake, but do it, try it. And if something goes wrong, learn from it. And from 0 to 1, who is your first customer? There will never be a second customer before the first customer. So sometimes people walk in and think, wow, who do you think is your potential customer? And we ask, and then they say like all the people of the USA. And then we think like all hundreds of millions of it, or are there a few of it? Yeah, all the people of. Yeah, it's nice, but if the number 1 USA customer is not there, there will never be some number 2 or number 3 or number 4 US customers. So make sure at a certain moment you have your first customer, your first contract, your first deal, your first involvement of somebody that really uses, believes, buys your idea. Don't assume, validate. Assumptions are made and most assumptions are wrong. Even being said by Einstein once. So everybody does assumptions, also in the startup world, but most assumptions are wrong. So right away, check, validate, use the START program. Again, it's not about the magic there that we right away know this is a good idea, this is a bad idea, but it will really help you to validate if your idea makes sense. So the only thing we do is we check your assumptions, we talk to you, we ask you to do a bit more research, we bring you to customers, we try out if what you say makes sense. Assumptions is the mother of all fuck-ups. So if you build your business on I think, or according to me, this works, or everybody needs this,
You can fake us, you can fake me, and if you said, oh, I talked to hundreds of people and they are all enthusiastic about it, and with that, for instance, you get into our programs or in our advanced support, you get the expertise, the coaches, we take you onto missions. You can fool us, that's not the issue. It's maybe even to fake it till you make it. The problem only is if you build on these assumptions, the part of faking maybe worked, but making will be tough. Because if then at the end nobody will buy it, nobody is interested, you end up with losing a lot of time, maybe losing a lot of your money, maybe even losing parts of your study because you were too busy to create on your assumption. So again, it's for us not the fact that we say it's necessary or whatever, but it's for yourself. And these programs are for yourself to help you to just start with an idea that it can be maybe a great idea, but even in effect it sounds ridiculous or terrible, we don't know. Assumptions need to be validated, and based on these validated parts, you can create your business. So in conclusion, that's what we do with Novelty, and that's about starting up your business. And if you then join the program, we right away dive into all kinds of models, and we see how we can validate these ideas. But for us, and for now, it often just starts with at least understanding that these opportunities are here at the University of Twente. You can just do your study in your master and create towards a future at working for a great company or a nice company or for one of the corporates, or maybe even staying in business and become a PhD. Now, even from then, if you start up your business and you want to create something out of your research, we are also the tech transfer office of the University of Twente, so you will still see us. But for now, I would say to you, we can also for sure offer you the opportunity to set up your own business, or maybe even join one of the startups that are already being created via our programs and our incubators. And I would recommend to dive into that. Maybe with Mario, testing his beta version, or even joining the team, or maybe via many others that you can constantly follow on what Tamara already told you, our Instagram pages and LinkedIn pages. All these things are not per se for promotion, that we want to show you our messages. If you're not interested in startups, if you're not interested in entrepreneurship, still good that you're watching, but probably then it's also not the smartest thing to follow us or check our messages. But if you like to see what is happening around new solutions that are being created here on university, the new booking.coms of this world, but also the new DEMCONs of this world that create solutions for sickness or for the medical world or whatever. They're all being created here at the university, and you can become part of that community. And quite simple, just start. With that, I would recommend to think about it and do that. And for the final part of it, because maybe as you can see already, it's quite warm here in the Bastille. So I would say still enjoy the weather and the rest of the program of the kick-in. Make sure you also do your thumbs up to all the volunteers, all the crew, and all the kick-in commission of all the hard work that they do with it. Stay safe and keep your distance. And before we end off, I give it over to Tamara. Thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you. Of course, we started out with this package, and we have a winner. We have a winner that followed our LinkedIn page, and that is Marjolein Tol. So Marjolein, you won it. Congratulations. You can contact us through the LinkedIn page with a private message, or you can send an email to novelty. Let me see, check for your email address. contact@novelty.com. So, but I think LinkedIn is easier, and I think you will understand how it works. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. And yes, Mike already told you, if you're interested in our programs, please have a look on our website. And for now, have a great evening. And thank you, Kick-In Commission, for welcoming us today at the live stream. Bye-bye. Thanks.